Welcome back to the United Pubcast, the podcast of the official Man United Supporters Club here in Sydney to discuss another win. Manchester United are climbing the table. First win away from home in God knows how long. First clean sheet in probably even longer, in my opinion. Great to discuss a clean sheet and all things defensive side of the games as well. But two reasons Larry's on here. Obviously, co-host of the podcast, and obviously need his opinion. But also, I was at the pub with the Man United Supporters Club last night, and whenever I'm at the pub, you're talking, you're chatting, you're having a drink. You don't get a great detailed analysis of the game. So, especially when we get to 3-2-1s, no one can take my opinion seriously on this because I don't have a great grasp of exactly what happened. So, Larry is on here to tell me his thoughts on the game. And if you are in the live chat, do get your thoughts in as well because I definitely will need a lot of help. My main takeaway from the match was I love Lisandro Martinez and Bruno Fernandes scored the match winner. That's as far as my analysis does go on this one. But, Larry, first things, how are you keeping? And also, Man United didn't ruin the weekend.
They didn't ruin the weekend, and I can pretty much answer two questions in one there, Tom. You're always happy when United win on the weekend because they have the capability of ruining things pretty smart. And then your Sunday's just sitting in bed crying. But credit to United, just on the performance itself. I got to say, the most pleasing aspect, kept a clean sheet. I can't tell you how many, you hear the commentators, they've been banging on that drum. United's first clean sheet away from home since December last year. It's a really long time. We're on the verge of September. So I think it was really important and really pleasing to see the defensive unit. It was probably, yes, 'cause sometimes you have a clean sheet, but you see the opposition have a heap of threats, a plethora of attacks.
How many times has David De Gea made a match over the years with 15, 16 saves?
Exactly. And I thought it was the most assured performance I've seen from a United side as a unit, crucially. In a very long time. So really pleasing signs for Erik ten Hag.
Well, we'll get into all things performance of Man United and everything sort of around the Premier League, but I'll just say good day to some people in the live chat. Steve, Aussie Gooner, got to see him last night, the one Arsenal fan in the pub. He accompanied the football capital there. They filmed some good content, so definitely keep an eye out for that. But it was great to meet Steve, really lovely guy. Chris, good to see you as well. The Butcher obviously is turning himself into a cult hero. Rob here has broken his curse at Scruffy Murphy's, coming out to watch United and get the 3 points. Adam, good to see you, mate. Even though it's disappointed, couldn't make it to Scruffy's last night. Looked like a great turnout. I'll touch on Scruffy's at the end because it was a brilliant night, but we'll discuss that towards the end of the podcast. Justin, good to see you last night. Great turnout last night. 3 points in the bag. I'll actually have to look at the ladder now. Obviously, I know we're not going to be nowhere near the top, but at least we've got 6 points now rather than 0 points, which was a real possibility a couple of weeks ago. And George here, g'day lads, was going to come last night, wasn't feeling too good. Well, I hope you are feeling a little bit better now. I'm sure Man United has improved your mood, mate, but I hope you're all well. Rob here, not the greatest performance, but this win was just as important as the Liverpool game. I'll go a step further and say it's more important. Now, obviously, in terms of, we'll remember the Liverpool one in a year's time. We won't remember this Southampton one, but yeah, that Liverpool performance would have meant absolutely nothing without a result against Southampton. And sometimes you do need that sort of comeback, sort of crashing back down to earth and have that performance where Liverpool was so positive in regards to the way we played and obviously the result. Sometimes you're never going to back that up against when your motivation level should always be high, Larry. But going off that high against Liverpool, now to come down to play at Southampton on a lunchtime kickoff in that horrible green kit where the players can't see each other, in my opinion, sometimes it's going to be a dogfight. I've heard Scott McTominay talking about in an interview. Sometimes, yeah, you're going to get performances and days where you're not at it and you need to fight, and that's exactly what they needed. You're never going to, I don't think, carry on while we wanted to carry on in continuation in performance. It probably wasn't going to happen. There was a big come down after that Liverpool match.
Of course, and not just that. I mean, ultimately, there are two sides in a game of football, right? And I thought Southampton set up quite well. They pressed United when they wanted to press. They noticed which players are weaker on the ball. I think they made a good point of... I've seen some criticism around McTominay's performance. I mean, United identified he's obviously not the stronger in terms of progressing the ball. So Eriksen's the one who tucks in. So this criticism of, he's only completed 18 passes or 30 passes, irrelevant to me. I thought his performance was really good. But ultimately, Southampton played well. United got the goal and they get the result. And even if, and you said it in our preview, you'll take a scrappy goal in the 90th minute. Ultimately, if you're getting 3 points, that's premiership winning form. Not going to say we're going to win the league, but I haven't seen that type of performance from United in a very long time.
Well, it wasn't. You're completely right, but it wasn't a scrappy goal. We'll get into the goal. It was actually a beautiful goal from sort of back to front, and obviously the good finish by Bruno Fernandes, who needed a goal as well, because obviously if he doesn't provide those assists or goals, we do question what he does bring to the team in regards to football. So he definitely does need to bring those. But Borche here, football capital, did film some good content last night. There was one video I'm sure will come out in his video when he does upload it in regards to. Would have been in the first half. We had about 3 or 4 chances in the space of 5 seconds, and the reaction in the pub was unbelievable. Make sure you are subscribed to the Football Capital, and that will surely be out quite soon. Ashby, good to see you, mate. Last night, great night at the pub, and great result on the pitch. So, Larry, we'll start as things go. When we always start the match reviews, start in 11. We all said, yep, Casemiro's going to start. Of course, he's going to start. Yep, McTominay out, Casemiro in. Maybe even Ronaldo for Elanga, but you can understand maybe the front three staying. An hour before kickoff, team news comes through, and I don't think it was met with negativity. I never really sort of lose too much sleep over the team announcement in terms of I think, okay, it's the manager, he's putting it out for a reason. So I never get too worked up over it. But I think that people were a little bit frustrated with not seeing Casemiro win there. Do you think now ultimately it proved the right decision because we got the performance or we got the result in the end? So Erik ten Hag can say, yep, I got it completely right. But before the match, what were you thinking? Do you think he was right to go with the winning team and reward them for their good performance and good attitude against Liverpool? Or do you think, hang on, this was a bit of a risk. If you do have that tool in Casemiro on the bench, you might as well use him.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I personally benched Casemiro, and obviously not because of his talent or his pedigree in the game, but I just thought this guy's been he's probably completed 2 training sessions with the side. He needed time to settle in, particularly in a... Ten Hag is a very systemic coach, what I would call a systemic coach. He has a set philosophy. He likes things to be organized with and without the ball. And I just think Casemiro, obviously a very intelligent footballer, Tom, but I think it would be a big ask to ask someone to fit in, particularly in such a crucial role in midfield in the terms of how we're setting up. I didn't disagree with it. I like the setup. I have to say, though, you have to raise eyebrows at Ronaldo not starting. I think in hindsight, he probably could have. Rashford up front in this type of game, he was ineffective.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you mentioned Southampton in regards to their performance, and they performed quite well by their standards, is when, okay, Liverpool are going to press high, so you could understand, okay, having that pace of Elanga, Sancho, and Marcus Rashford up front, you could see, even if Ronaldo was fit, you could see in a big game why you would go for that option. Now, it was Southampton, obviously, before the match. Do you think they're going to park the bus, or do you think they're going to have a go? That would have been a risk Erik ten Hag would have had to weigh up himself. But he's gone thinking maybe Southampton are going to have a go at this and not really park the bus. But in terms of the way the game did pan out, it almost felt, and not to be critical of Marcus Rashford, and not to say Ronaldo should have played, but I'm saying it almost felt like the first game of the season when we played without a striker. And it's very simple. We sat here and said, it looks like we're playing without a striker. And I just felt there was times where Diogo Dalot and Malacia were on the ball, and you think, oh, God, if there was a little bit of focal point up front, it would have made things easier for the person on the ball and maybe the people in midfield. But at the moment, it was very, wouldn't say predictable, but if we're going to hurt Southampton, it was going to be with the ball in behind. We never had 2 options of whether to sort of play it short into someone's feet. That wasn't an option with Marcus Rashford up front. That's not to be critical of Marcus Rashford, just in terms of the style of the game. It wasn't quite working. But is there anything else in regards to the lineup that was not surprising? But obviously, I think a good thing was Luke Shaw staying on the bench for Malacia. I think Malacia, that was the big one. I thought had a good performance. Maybe he's sort of going to sort of be slowly introduced. But Erik ten Hag was, I think, fully correct in rewarding him with another start.
Yeah, I'm with you. Can I ask you on Harry Maguire before we get into performances a little bit? Have you seen Ten Hag's comments every time he's asked about Maguire? He seems to go 2 feet in for me. Particularly, I think it was pre-match, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong. Ten Hag got asked a question around Maguire not being selected, and Ten Hag commented to the effect of, well, it's hard to get into the side when you have players such as Rafael Varane in the squad.
Yeah, no, I think that, and you're probably right. And a lot of the things with Erik ten Hag, and we've seen this with Sky Sports, we've seen this with the way the narrative around Erik ten Hag and his introduction to English football has come about, in terms of a lot of things could potentially get lost in translation. And so we pick up on things. I do see that. I don't see that as too much of a dig or criticism at Harry Maguire. I think he's just very sort of praiseworthy of what he is using. And Lisandro Martinez, he obviously rates extremely highly. Rafael, he's walked into Manchester United and has potentially one of the greatest defenders of his generation in Rafael Varane there, who's won the lot. I think he goes, I've got unbelievable players here. Harry Maguire, okay, you're not unbelievable. You might be a good player. Good players don't get into this back four at the moment. You need to have the status of a Rafael Varane or the warrior-like spirit of Lisandro Martinez. So at the moment, look, take away the wages, take away the armband. If Harry Maguire's your third choice centre-back, as a different option at centre-back, that's okay for a squad.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just wanted your opinion in terms of Ten Hag's comments, but I think it will be a challenge of Maguire's character, I suppose. It's the first time where, I mean, fans have been calling for him to be dropped for the best part of nearly 12 months now, but in terms of the Englishman himself, he's never been in this position where he's had 2 games consecutive benched. Yeah. Particularly since he's been captain, it's definitely going to be a challenge of his character. So I'll be interested to see how he bounces back.
Look, you're completely right. And this is a discussion about Harry Maguire. Whoever we have the discussion about, if it's Ronaldo on the bench, Rashford or Harry Maguire, okay, it's a discussion about that person. But this is met with so much criticism or abuse or praise if you like the player at that player. The discussion I want to have around Harry Maguire being on the bench, Erik ten Hag. That's where my it could be saying Harry Maguire deserves to be or doesn't deserve to be. My discussion wants to be about Erik ten Hag, and he's been brave enough to make that decision, which we've sort of criticised managers in the past not being able to do that. Not only to Harry Maguire, but obviously to Ronaldo 2 games in a row as well. So, okay, that's a discussion about Ronaldo. Does he want to be? He doesn't. Does he make us better or doesn't he? Erik ten Hag is putting his balls on the table and making big decisions, and that is where I think the discussion should be rather than the individual players themselves.
Yeah, that's fair.
Thank you for that point. But Sully here saying, good to see you last night as well. I just tuned in. Great to get the 3 points last night. Nice to meet a few of the lads in the chat as well. George here, why pay big wages for someone on the bench? You can get a Billy Bob who can develop into a team. It's hard. If I always go back and I look at a Rafael Varane and Casemiro, and you look at that team, obviously Ronaldo as well in Real Madrid. We talk about, yes, we can't have these players on the bench earning big money. Go look at every team that wins the Champions League. Look at their bench. Their whole bench is better than our first team. Like, in order to be successful, your bench needs to be absolutely a world-class starting 11 in its own right. Now, I'm not saying Harry Maguire is a world-class sort of starting 11 type player, but you do need that. It's frustrating because you think, oh, well, we wasted money, but ultimately to be successful, you do need that quality and sort of squad depth in the bench. On the bench, I should say, Adam here saying our defences have never looked this solid with Maguire in it. Play Maguire in the cup games, keep him away from Premier League games. This is definitely along my line of thinking at the moment. And Chris is benching the English captain. That's the issue in the media. And obviously in terms of the way things are reported, that is definitely a thing. It'll be interesting to see England's next international squad, what the situation is around Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw and Marcus Rashford. But is there anything performance related, or before we get into 3-2-1s and everything, or anything sort of moments in the match that did stand out for you?
Martinez's intelligence. I think we're all attracted to his warrior-like nature, which is completely accurate. He's combative, he's passionate, and he gives 100%. The thing that I like about him, Tom, forget his height. I mean, this guy just reads the game so well. Reminds me of Daley Blind. Obviously, different players. Martinez probably a bit more pacey and a little bit more mobile. But similar in the sense of Blind, no one spoke about his height because he read the game so well. And I think Martinez actually reads the game really well. He doesn't get caught one-on-one in terms of the big physical striker, and he had a physical striker against him. But he handled it well because he reads the game, he anticipates well, and he clears everything. He gets his head there, he gets his feet there. And if there's a 50-50, he's competing. So credit to Ten Hag. I think we were linked to Timber earlier on in the transfer window, and then we started seeing the links to Martinez. I think seeing the way Timber's behaved in the media and then seeing the way Martinez is on the pitch, United definitely got the right one.
It'll be interesting. We'll look definitely falling in love with Sandro Martinez. It'll be interesting. We'll get into 3-2-1s in a little bit. So make sure you get your thoughts in the comments on who does deserve those points. Just before we get in there,
can I ask you a question on Jadon Sancho?
Please.
Are you concerned about his level of performance in these lower block sides? I just wonder, as a modern day winger, and I know I've spoken to you about this, just if you think of the modern day winger in the Premier League outside of Manchester City, does he give you enough? I know he's a good, tricky player, very technical player, but does he need to add a little bit more? I'm just thinking, like, as a wide player.
I understand. I see where you're coming from. I do see that, but no, it's not a worry for me. Like he's got such quality now. I think it's one of those ones where if he performed better, it would look okay. At the moment, I think he's just not performing to his standard. I don't think it's anything to do with his stylistic sort of approach to his play or any of the attributes he has. I just think at the moment he might not be playing as good as he can. If he's playing that same style to 100% of his ability, he'll look brilliant. And I think that is where the thing. Now, yes, there is definitely an argument. Okay, what does he suit? Does he suit somewhere else on the pitch? Right, left, central? They're all obviously valid discussions. But at the moment, I think it's just a case of not to be critical of him. Just needs to play a little bit better. And I'll say that in saying he's not playing bad. It's just, I think, when he's at the top of his game, I don't think it is a discussion. When he's not quite at it or his opponent is having a good game, I think, those, not limitations, but sort of traits to his game do get potentially exposed, especially when you do see the best in the world in those positions, to offer traits that he potentially doesn't have. But just before we get into 3-2-1s, David De Gea, save underrated. Rob here puts up there. We'll discuss him before we went on air. What have you made of him in the last, well, you can say the last two games in regards to the Liverpool match, and especially this one, two obviously different approaches. He's obviously coming for criticism, and rightly so at times, but obviously it does look like Manchester United is going to sign Dubravka on loan from Newcastle. I don't know if that's potentially going to be made permanent at the end of the year. I'm sure we'll get a couple of details. There's only a couple of days left of the transfer window. But what would you make of David De Gea there? Because here we are talking about the back four being so good, and Martinez and Rafael Varane, etc. Is David De Gea a part of that, or is he just sort of doing his thing in goals and it's not quite, that back five partnership?
I think last season, and this is our criticism as well, criticism of us, we gave a lot of 3 points to him. And yes, he did save us a lot. I will look, and now that we can actually win a game in difficult circumstances, I will counter that with he is a good shot stopper. In fact, he is a world-class shot stopper. But if you look at the way goalkeepers have evolved, it's clear he's got limitations to his game. He's not going to be the progressive sweeper fullback who can ball play. That's not De Gea's game. I think he will serve us well this season. And like Rob said, underrated save. It was a brilliant save and at a crucial point in the match. Because if United concede there, I don't think we have the confidence to come back. But in saying that, he's got limitations. And I think long-term, United will look to upgrade or replace De Gea.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. And look, we're going to be having a huge discussion around the goalkeeper in a couple of days' time when Dubravka does come in. And if he plays his first game in the League Cup and we play beautiful football out of the back, it does put a pressure on De Gea. Now, that's a good pressure. Obviously, the players do need competition. Before we get into 3-2-1s, Justin here saying shout out to Eriksen's vision, those long balls and switch of play. We're going to do a Leicester preview, our next game later in the week, Larry. At the moment, Casemiro, you would think, will come in. Who does he come in for in regards to, okay, Eriksen's better football and Scott McTominay, but in terms of what Erik ten Hag will want in midfield, in terms of getting the result and getting the sort of job done, who's more, I wouldn't say at risk in a bad way, but a McTominay, let's say Fred and McTominay in that role, or a Christian Eriksen? Because at the moment, like as they're not similar, but Eriksen and Bruno, you can kind of say a very similar style of play or trying to do the same sort of thing. So is there a risk where, not a risk, but where Eriksen is potentially the one who misses out when Casemiro comes in? We all think it's going to be McTominay or Fred, but it might actually be someone higher up the field.
I think it'll be McTominay. In terms of the role that both those players offer aside, I think Casemiro is the clear upgrade on McTominay. He needs that ball player in the deeper position. And of course, ideally, I think he'd have Frankie de Jong there. That's not going to happen, at least this transfer window. So he needs someone. It's clear. I mean, from game one, he's had Eriksen playing in that deep pivot position. So I just think that he clearly wants a ball player in there. He doesn't trust Fred and McTominay to do that job. So, I mean, if you got Casemiro in there, I don't think McTominay's quite got the ball playing ability. So I think he will go with Eriksen and Casemiro.
Yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't disagree with that. I just think it is interesting in regards to, I think we're almost, in my mind, I'm putting Eriksen and Bruno in the same category as one player and Fred and McTominay in the category as one player. So I will be interested to see how that does shape up. But we will get into 3-2-1s. But Borja here from the football capital, who let the Aussie Gooner in the pub? As Emad here points out, they're probably the same blokes who let the Scousers in. There was a guy in a Mohamed Salah shirt, which I thought was an absolute disgrace. But thank God he had nothing to cheer. Well, thank God the Liverpool match was on after, because thank God we didn't go into the pub knowing that they had won 9-0. Bournemouth should be absolutely ashamed of themselves in regards to that. But we'll go on to 3-2-1s, Larry. And as I said, I do need help with this because I'm just going to say Martinez for the sake of it. In regards to performance, I can't give a great sort of analysis. So do get your thoughts in the live chat on who you think is worth 3-2-1. And as we say, if you are new to the podcast, It's not just man of the match. It's not just the best performance. You do have to weigh up. Now, I'm not saying, Larry, you can sort of disagree or agree. Bruno Fernandes at the end of the day, match winner, or David De Gea, big save at the end, which saves us 2 points, sort of thing. So those are the ways we do value these 3 points. So I'm just going to give my 2 cents at the moment. I thought, from what I remember, Malacia showed a lot of energy, and I thought he was fine. Obviously, Martinez up front, I didn't see anything really up front. I thought Diogo Dalot, I don't know if it's just because of the assist that stands out, but I thought he was quite solid as well. But eventually, okay, 1-0 victory. I am looking at the back of the pitch in regards to those defenders and goalkeepers.
Yeah, I think Justin's hit the nail on the head there. Martinez 3, Bruno 2, Malacia 1. I think the 1 point could go to, like you say, I think Diogo Dalot could be a shout. I think with the Portuguese, he still lacks a bit going forward, which is really interesting because the criticism with Wan-Bissaka and Dalot was he's better on the ball, etc. But I think Diogo needs to have a better delivery overall. Great cross, but in terms of that whipping ball in that's actually dangerous and allows a striker to get their head on the end of, he needs to work on that. But yeah, I'd be going. I think Martinez 3 points is an easy one. His head was everywhere. His feet was everywhere. He's just a competitor. And what an improvement in our defense. I mean, speaks for itself. Clean sheet. I can't remember the last time we got one of those. What are your thoughts? Bruno scores a great goal.
Yeah, I think I'll go to that Bruno goal. And look, everyone in the chat is going Martinez for 3 points. You've obviously alluded to it as well. So happy to go Martinez for 3 points. But in regards to Bruno's impact, well, you've talked about Harry Maguire and sort of Ten Hag's comments around Harry Maguire, well, not so much around Harry Maguire, but Varane and how he read into the Maguire situation. Here I am, and I stand by this sentiment, and I've had this since the day Bruno Fernandes arrived. I think he's a great leader. I think he's got real leadership qualities. I don't like him as captain. I don't want to see him as captain. I look at the Wayne Rooney situation in regards to that sort of taken away from his game, and I just look at Bruno Fernandes. I thought it took away from Wayne Rooney.
Well, he's got the armband 2 games running. We've won both.
No.
I think he's put on his best performances in a while in both games.
Yeah, but I take it back. At the moment we're winning. Yeah, but at the moment we're winning. There's going to come a time where we're not winning games. And I look at myself as a player, which I've made this point before. If Bruno Fernandes starts telling a player what to do, when Bruno Fernandes has been making that same mistake 10 times worse, I think that is where they could potentially cause friction. Now, at the moment, things are rosy. We're playing well. We're playing good football. We're scoring goals. It's all good. There's going to come a time, through no fault of anyone, where we're going to lose games. And I just think him as a captain there, I don't know if he is the greatest example. Now, again, I think he has great leadership qualities. I think he is a leader. I just think with the armband, it just adds... I can see potential frustrations amongst the squad on the pitch, not so much off the field or any views towards him. But that's where I do see someone like a potential, maybe even a Rafael Varane, who... the manager spoke quite highly about, and he's obviously in that leadership group, which he has mentioned.
I take your point, and I just don't know if Varane's the most vocal player.
I'm not saying Varane's the ideal candidate. It's just I don't think Bruno is.
De Gea, because I don't think De Gea is going to be here next season. You know what? No one's talking about. Doesn't De Gea have 1 year left on his contract? Anyway, I don't want to. Let's stay on course. I disagree, mate. I'm sorry. And I know you and I have disagreed on this for a good little while. I actually think Bruno, as a player, if I was playing behind him, I actually would not be as frustrated because, his whole role is to create. He's given the license to create. Now, if he was a number 6 giving the ball away the way he does, yeah, I think we'd be having a different conversation here. But when you're asked to create and then you're losing the ball, no one had this argument about Messi when he was captain, and he lost the ball more than anyone in world football when he was at Barcelona. So, I just think that argument's redundant.
I think your opinion would change the moment we drop points. The moment we have a bad performance, I think your opinion would change there.
It won't. I'm clear cut on this, and I understand what you're saying, but the other side of this argument, Tom, is there's no clear, obvious choice.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And I'm not, out of all the candidates, one of my candidates I would throw forward is Bruno Fernandes because of the lack of other candidates.
And that's the problem. So, yeah. He's the best out of what we got, and there's no clear... You know what? If Ronaldo wasn't pushing for an exit, I think he would have been captain, and I think there would have been a good shout for him to be captain. But that window's
that was the. I think a lot of people are on that train of thinking this time last year in terms of, not this time, it's probably about now that he did sign, but last year when there was the concern around Harry Maguire, a lot of people were saying Ronaldo, but now the situation has obviously changed around him, both his future and obviously his place in the team as well. It will be interesting, but there are, a lot of chats flying.
I got one for you, Tom. I got one for you. If I want you to think 12 months down the line, I think there's a shout for Martinez to be captain,
Yeah.
If he wasn't a new United player, he's got everything to be a captain.
Oh, no, yeah, definitely. But we did that now. I'm not saying Martinez and Harry Maguire are the same thing, but in terms of when Harry Maguire came straight in, he was given the captaincy. You have to learn from that. Okay, you need Martinez to come in, find his feet. Yeah, even 12 months and maybe even 2 years down the line, maybe a future captain. I think we do need to be a little bit sort of steady and composed in regards to that debate. But there are some. I'll just back on to the 3-2-1s. Sai here saying Delo for 2 points, Bruno for 1 point, De Gea getting a point here for Rob. Sully here, Diogo Delo as well. And look, there are a heap flying in, so apologies if I don't get to them all, but do appreciate all the input. I think there will go Martinez for 3, Bruno Fernandes for 2, and I'll give you the deciding point to for the single point.
I'm going to upset somebody. Delo gets the assist, but I mean, I thought it was a pretty straightforward cross, to be honest. I mean, I'm going to go Malacia. I just like the way he plays. I think he's added something that Shaw obviously didn't.
So that's what I think. And I think we'll have a discussion at the Liverpool match. And I think you disagreed with me. And I don't think I made my point sort of exactly as I wanted to. Just in regards to the result of a performance, in regards to how he's defending and the result of a pass going forward or the result of a cross into the box from Malacia and Luke Shaw, I think at the moment it has been very quite similar. Like in terms of, okay, they're playing the same pass and they're making the same tackle, they're winning the same header. I just think the energy that Malacia brings, it's contagious to those around him. And Luke Shaw just sort of standing there, just sort of trundling forward, that's also contagious, and that can sort of slow the pace down of a game. But I think what that energy that he does bring, while they're resulting in the same performance, that energy's, as I say, it's spurring players on around him, and I don't think Luke Shaw does bring that on that left-hand side.
Agree 100%. And he's lost his spot as a result, and I think he's got a hell of a fight to save his United career.
Definitely. Maybe this is something we can look at. Sully here bringing in, might need to start running a poll for these 3-2-1s. I think especially for these close ones, but they are good problems to have. I remember the first 2 games of the season, we couldn't do points, or the 4-0, we couldn't do points. So it is always a good headache to have when the team is winning and performing well. Anything else sort of football related or Man United related we want to touch on before we start to wrap up, mate?
Have we seen the last of Ronaldo? I guess that's my closing question to you. Get your comments in. Has Ronaldo played his last game? That's 2 matches. He's not played a whole heap of football. And Ten Hag's comments post-match, something's obviously in the works. I hope he stays. Nothing definitive.
Oh, look, it's been in the works for over a month now, over 2 months. So there's definitely something there.
Are the latest links with Napoli? Is that his final hope?
That sounds like agent talk for me. Not even from Ronaldo and Mendes' side towards Napoli. I think that does sound like they want 100 million for that striker they do have. So, which makes no sense for business-wise for Man United. But it's an interesting one. But yeah, in the live chat, do let us know your thoughts on the Ronaldo. Not what you want to happen. Do you think he's no good, or do you think he's good? Not what you want to happen. What do you think does happen now? With only a couple of days in the transfer window to go now, deals can get done very quickly. However, I don't know. It's just Anthony Martial.
We have to have a wager on this, surely. We both think he stays, though, don't we?
But my issue again is not about Ronaldo. It's about Anthony Martial. Is Anthony Martial on the injured table the solution to drive Manchester United forward? Suddenly he's out with an Achilles table. Who's playing there now?
You can't trust him. That's the problem.
So if you want to get rid of Ronaldo, okay, you have to replace him. Anthony Martial being injured is not the answer to Ronaldo's problem.
Will do it. Don't worry about it. Obviously, I'm wishful thinking, tongue-in-cheek there. I don't know. I'm with you. I think if Ronaldo leaves, you definitely need a replacement. I think what the Glazers will do, though, is be like, here's your 90 million toy in Anthony, and there's your striker, although he's obviously not a striker. And then we're stuck with Rashford up front, which clearly doesn't work. Tricky
what do you do, though, because the name sort of potentially bandied about in regards not so much a replacement, but an attacking player worth £100 million is Anthony. He's not a striker. So I'm just thinking, okay, So do you then put Rashford in the middle, or Martial, or let's say Rashford? Okay, Anthony on one side, Rashford
Oh
through the middle.
God,
Well,
Rob,
is
don't
Rashford
say
the
that,
striker?
mate.
Well, he's a
Don't
player.
say that.
A little bit of news. Yes, I'm on your side, Larry. But I was discussing with Rob last night at the pub. I don't know what the actual news is, but it does seem there is a little bit of
I don't
murmurings
like it.
happening about that. So do let me know where that sort of source
He
originated from.
failed miserably at United. He can't handle it. It's not about ability. The guy's got ability. He can't handle United.
Could
We saw it.
I don't think he has what it takes to succeed at Man United. However, the devil advocate in me would it be a case of he's learned from his time at Man United and he's matured, because he wasn't mature when he arrived. He came in thinking he was Eric Cantona. He came in thought, I'm the big guy here. I'm going to win everything with Man United. The fans are going to love me, and he walked around the football pitch. I'm just thinking, will he have learned from that? Because he's obviously gone and done very good things on the continent. I'm just thinking again. I'm not saying going out and get him. However, if you do lose Ronaldo, and we do need a panic day signing, we don't want to be in a position where we're panic on deadline day, but it looks like we very well could be. Could he be a player that comes in?
If he's the player that comes in, I don't want to be here in 12 months with United not looking at a striker because our options are Martial and Memphis Depay. That's my concern. Long term, United need a gun number 9 to compete with. If Martial keeps up the patches we've seen, you need someone to compete.
Yeah. Oh no! Look, when does the transfer deadline close? Must be. I think it's the 1st or 2nd of September. I think.
It will be the same day United play is the same day it closes. So when's that? When are we?
That's Friday morning for us. So it'll be a Thursday night.
Thursday night UK time.
Well, I've got Friday morning off, so definitely watching the match, and obviously depending on what hour the deadline window does shut. Make sure you are subscribed, because we might do maybe a live stream as the clock ticks down, because I'm sure this is one window, Larry, where we will be in it to the last hour. I think this will be one where everyone's watching Sky Sports and that clock sort of tick down. And I think Manchester United will be dominating the headline. Sometimes it has been a little bit quiet. You're sort of thinking, okay, we might get a loan, sort of thing like an Agalo sort of thing. So I think something definitely will happen on deadline day. Whether that's what we want, whether that's what we need, okay, time will tell. But I definitely think it will be a busy day, and obviously there'll be a football match which will obviously occupy a lot of our time. But are you confident in getting the deal or a deal over the line that sort of is the right decision?
I don't even believe United should be going for Anthony, mate. I really don't. It's not my money, so I couldn't give a shit about that. We know how this club works. We know how the owners work, and they will basically be like, "Here's your 90 million signing. Where next season we're gonna have another transfer window where we sign Fred, Diogo Dalot, and Lee Grant. I promise you, because they're gonna be like, we're moving next year's budget to this year, and this is your new toy, and that's the way we roll." Whereas a sensible, and I gotta say, John Murtagh. I mean, this is probably a whole separate video. You gotta say he's failed this transfer window. He hasn't brought in the players he's needed. Casemiro clearly wasn't first choice. And then after all of this, we still need a striker.
The first choice. Look, I argue, and I'll put Arnold and Murtagh in this first choice argument, and here we are. No one sat here more than me saying you have to go and get the manager's first choice. That's what you have to do. However, we are in the Europa League. There are big clubs out there who are obviously looking for players as well, who are potentially more attractive options at the moment. So we place this demand on the manager and the board to go and get the first choice. However, we have to be realistic. That might not be the case. We might not be able to. Someone's first choice might be Lionel Messi. I'm sure he's Bolton Wanderers' first choice. They're not going to go get him. There's that Bolton not back in their manager. But that does need to be a case of sort of realisticness in here. I'm just thinking, I can't be overcritical of the club, in my opinion, on the Frankie de Jong in regards to not being able to get him. Now, my issue with the Frankie de Jong case is we should have walked away earlier. That's my issue in terms of not being able to get the player.
That's still a criticism of
the criticism's not getting the first choice.
Agree. No, I agree with you. But I'm with you. Ten Hag needed the best opportunity to go into this season with as little hiccup as possible. Frankie de Jong, we heard these murmurs at the end of June. We're on the verge of September. It's unacceptable that this is carried on this long. I tell you, mate, and without going into too much detail on it, I promise you that United hierarchy, because Mason Greenwood is still on the payroll, playing or not, that plays a factor. I mean, to us, we're looking at the players that are available, but to United, you have a striker. He's just not available, and we're paying him £75,000 per week to not play.
It'll be interesting if Ronaldo leaves on loan, who starts paying his wages. It does unfortunately look like it could be Man United, but Emad here saying, is the European window open past that date? Is that still a thing? That's not a thing anymore. I remember there was that season where the English Premier League shut a month before the Europe, and it was just horrendous.
They did it for
and
2 seasons, didn't they?
I think all the clubs said, hang on, what is happening here? And thank God that is definitely over. But that was a nightmare. I think Arsene Wenger was the main sort of instigator in that, wanting that to happen, but they didn't discuss with the European leagues. They said stuff that we're going to do our business when we do want. But is there anything else you do want to discuss, Man United wise, or something we've missed?
No,
let's go through some notes. Do you have any notes?
Let's look forward to Leicester, who are going awfully. I got to say, around the Premier League, some very interesting results overnight. Haaland is on fire. I know we hoped for a slow start, but a hat-trick definitely isn't that. So absolutely killing it. Liverpool, massive result. Bournemouth were pathetic, I must say. But massive result for Liverpool. So that'll do them a world of good. And I hate to say it because Arsenal fans are the most annoying breed that have lived this earth. They're clear top of the league. And you have to say credit where it's due. They are playing really good football.
Yeah, no, they're doing very well, and exactly what they need. And I think he's not me saying Mikel Arteta's a great manager or he should be the Arsenal manager or whatever. Ultimately, they're reaping the rewards of showing a little bit of faith in him. Now, whatever we think of these behind the scenes, holding light bulbs and drawing hearts on bits of paper sort of thing for the cameras, ultimately they've stood by their manager. And whatever we think, if they're good enough or not good enough, they're getting the results. Now, that is where I think Man United, unfortunately, have to learn from a club like Arsenal, who's a very sort of dominated in the media in regards to controversy and headlines. No matter what happens, there's always going to be criticism. You need to sort of stand by that and stick through it, because Manchester United haven't done that over the past. Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Solskjaer, even Ralph Rangnick sort of thing. Everything plays out in the media, and Man United do panic in terms of changing these managers. That is where Erik ten Hag does need to be afforded this patience. Now, unfortunately, we don't like this. That might be, how long's Arteta been in the job now? Years now, 3 years or something? It might be 3 years until Erik ten Hag we start to see the benefit, but that is where we do need to look forward to in the next 3 years. We can't be making judgments over 3 months, 1 year, or even 2 years. That patience is so vital for me.
Yeah, paramount. But see, like, if you see the way we performed yesterday, if we got a draw in that game and then we end up finishing fifth on the back of those types of performances, you keep Ten Hag because the performances are there. You're seeing a level of improvement, but maybe you need to improve the personnel. The criticism for me has been sacking managers where it's clear that there is no progression, no level of improvement. But we have to be patient. I mean, I look at United's squad right now. Can you hand on heart tell me it's the fourth best in England? It's not. So if United get top four, they're overachieving.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I completely agree.
Yeah.
But as I said, make sure you are subscribed, because I'm sure there'll be a Leicester preview in the coming days. And obviously, I'm sure there will be a new sign-in or a departure or something, which will definitely go live and react to it as well. So make sure you are hitting that like on the video. That'd be great. And make sure you are subscribed if you are new. Larry, obviously you were missing last night from the pub, but if you are in the live chat and have anything to mention about the pub last night, for those Sydney Reds, do get it in, because it was a cracking night, Larry, I'm telling you. Now, obviously, if we left the pub and it was a 1-1 draw and it had the exact same night, it wouldn't have the same feel and it would have felt like an absolute disaster. So obviously the result does play a good part in remembering the night. However, it was just... Again, I always make this point in regards to supporting Man United. It's not about the football. It is not about the football. Yes, it does play a part, and yes, it does sort of make you happy when we do get a result. And if we don't get the result, you're absolutely depressed. I understand that. But having a few beers with mates, okay, singing songs, having a chat about Man United, the result, in my opinion, for me, is secondary almost.
Yeah. No, I take your point. I said this all along, and I said it to every Red I met when I was in Manchester for the Brighton match. I absolutely loved the day because, yes, obviously I was bummed about the result with Brighton, but I got to meet top Reds. I got to meet people who I saw people who I hadn't seen in years who live in Manchester. You get to the pub, you're drinking with people, you're singing songs pre-match, you walk to the stadium. That's what makes the day. Of course, the result is why we're there, but it's not everything. And I'm with you, Tom. It's about meeting people, interacting with people. Can I say Victor Lindelof hasn't made a single matchday squad. Speaking of outgoings, I think there might be something in that.
Definitely. Was he on the bench? I think he was on the bench for this one, I think.
Was he?
Was he?
I don't know. I
remember in the last press conference, Erik ten Hag said that he's back available over a potential injury at the start of the season. But do correct me in the live chat if I'm wrong there. But Justin here saying the amount of R's and yeahs in that pinball machine moment when Ericsson had that chance in that first half, it was there was just a funny moment at the pub having a heap of people
He wasn't on
not
the bench,
having a clue. Wasn't on the bench, was he? But Ashby here, good to see you last night. Fantastic atmosphere, great company. Even better that we got the result. Look, it is just simply, in my opinion, obviously, while I've said it's not about the football, it's the result that sort of was the icing on the cake. And just last one here, any news when the next game at the pub will be, Adam? Unfortunately, Manchester United, Europa League and the World Cup means it's very likely we're not going to get another kickoff in 2022 because obviously the season finishes a little bit before December, or the year finishes before December. And obviously all our games, the clocks will change at some stage as well in the next coming weeks. And obviously Man United's games will all be moved to a Sunday. I think there's a stat going around that Man United don't have a home game at Old Trafford on a Saturday for the remainder of the year, which is crazy. But that is a debate for the ticket holders and Sky and whoever sort of does these fixtures. But for the Man United Supporters Club, as you can see, there is there's a link in the description below to sign up. A lot of people in the live chat are members of the Supporters Club, but we don't have a friendly kickoff time on the horizon in regards to going out and watching Man United at the pub. But supporters here in Sydney, our next charity match is in the works in regards to 11v11 in Sydney, where the Man United Supporters Club here play against another supporters club in a game. So if you are in Sydney, obviously they are always very enjoyable to get down to because, one, you're always going to get goals. You're going to get red cards. You're going to get laughter. You're going to get good football at times. It is obviously always a very good day out. So make sure you stay tuned to all the social medias for that. I'm sure Larry and I will be donning the boots again. But until then, Larry, and I keep asking anything I miss. I feel like I miss a huge bit of news, and I just don't know what it is.
Mate, you're on your own.
Something's happened. I'm not sure.
Something's happened in your head, that's for sure. But no major outgoings, no major incomings. Eric Bailly's gone on loan, but we've already covered that. There's not much to cover, but I think we'll get a surprise this week, whether that's an incoming or an outgoing. Can I ask you, just before we wrap up, Anthony, where do you sit on that? Ajax turned down a ridiculous amount of money. The player has now done an interview with Fabrizio Romano, which is nuts. So
I think it happens. I think it happens now because Ajax, it's good for them to say, no, we don't accept that bid on deadline day. There's £90 million in cash on the table. It would be stupid. It would be criminal if they don't accept that. Now, I'm not saying that it's the right thing for Anthony to come to Man United. He's a perfect signing. I just think for them to turn that money down for a player who doesn't want to be there, and with Anthony or without Anthony, they're still going to win the league. I think that's absolutely criminal. I'd be filthy if I was an Ajax fan not accepting that bid. I think it happens. We'll have a debate whether I think it should happen or
you say that, Tom. In 2009, where you're saying United are crazy if they don't accept £80 million for Ronaldo, because I can promise you I wasn't.
Ronaldo wanted to go. It was one of those ones that Ronaldo achieved at United. Anthony's achieved at Ajax. And I think it was one of those ones that they're hell bent on going. Ronaldo for years wanted to leave, and he sort of got his head down and achieved and fought for the team. Sir Alex Ferguson got the best out of him. Anthony now has been successful at Ajax. Different times, different sort of inflation prices in regards to what's 80 million now, what's not 90 million now. But
what about the player's character? What do you make of him going to Fabrizio Romano and openly being critical of Ajax? I don't think that that's very professional. So then I have to ask again, the second it goes wrong at United, is he the sort of player who's going to sulk, or is he the sort of player who's going to pull his socks up, dig in, go hard? Because
it's definitely a concern, and you're right in regards to professionalism. What I would say, and this is just trying to sort of keep some positivity around the signing, because if he does walk in, we're going to have to fall in love with him. We can't be start the relationship off on the wrong foot. I'm just thinking the positive I would take with he's desperate to play for Eric Ten Hag, and Eric Ten Hag, forget Manchester United, forget professionalism. I think Anthony wanting to work with Eric Ten Hag and Eric Ten Hag get the most out of him, I think that would fix things. I think he's just got to a desperate stage now. Could you imagine young kid from Brazil going over to Ajax, fighting for them, winning everything with them? Suddenly you're going to get your dream move to the biggest club in the world, and the club who wants you are going to pay double what you're worth. So there's no reason why your club shouldn't accept the bid. And the club is saying no. I just think I can understand. Again, I don't agree with him going to Fabrizio Romano and sort of putting pressure on the club in the way that he's doing. But ultimately, it is understandable to a degree, in my opinion.
I think he's right to be aggrieved. I question the level of professionalism, because if he does it here, I think it's very likely he could do it somewhere else. And then if he kills it at United and Real Madrid start calling, is he going to do the same thing? So, anyway, nonetheless, I'm with you. I think it'll happen. Ajax, he's put them in a corner. And I think they're just going to scramble to get someone in and let him go. Well, they're not going to get that price for him in 12 months' time. So
that's what I mean. I think regardless of the Man United situation, I just think Ajax themselves, they'll do it. I just think they need to. It just makes too much sense for them. But look, we will be definitely going live when that does very likely going to happen in a day or two's time. So do make sure that you stay tuned for that. And until then, make sure you do leave a like on the video on your way out, and we'll chat to you in a bit. Cheers.
Cheers.